It is season 2. I am Taylor Hart. You may recognize me from our other podcast, the Blunt Talk podcast. I've been hosting that all year as well. And so now I'll be hosting the Higher Woman podcast from now on. I'm very, very excited because as a woman in cannabis myself, I'm super excited to talk to a bunch of other women who are really holding it down for the entire industry, because without us, I think it would truly all fall apart. So it takes everybody together to make this happen. So I'm stoked to be hosting. And today I'm really excited because I got Diane Kessler here with me to talk. And she's been holding it down in California. So we're going to talk a little bit about both states, because she was just telling me that she's from Kent as well. So I've been up here in Seattle my whole life. So it'll be kind of cool to talk about the differences between both Seattle's market as well as California's market. So let's just start off really quick. Let's talk about your consumption methods. Like, what is your history with weed? What's your consuming look like nowadays as well? And yeah, what do you like to smoke, or what do you like to ingest?
I would say typically, smoking pre-rolls is really, or I would say joints. I like to roll my own joints. That's kind of my preferred way to consume. Something about rolling joints is very therapeutic to me. Just getting in that focus of breaking down weed and then rolling it up in a paper and just, getting it to that perfect cone shape.
Yes.
Very, very therapeutic for me. And yeah, I've honestly been smoking majority joints for a while now. It's what I like. I'm not too big on tobacco, so I stick with it. I also really enjoy edibles too. Edibles have come a long way.
Yes,
and though I love a good edible, a good drink or tincture, like
yes,
prime.
I am big on the drinks nowadays. That's where I like to go. I offset my alcohol consumption with my drink edible consumption. So It's been kind of a cool way to bridge the gap from having like a drink all the time. Where you guys have the benefit is having lounges down there to be able to consume in like a social environment, whereas we can't really do that here. When I'm at the bar, I can't really have I may sneak one in here and there, but I'm not allowed to have that drink out in the open, So, but yeah, I'm right there with you. I love the drinks, and I love the process of rolling too. So I very much so, it's a ritual.
Very much. Very much.
Do you have any sort of like cannabis wellness routine though? Like, do you use any like topicals or anything just for like day-to-day like maintenance essentially?
I would say not all the time. There are a couple of really nice topical like lotion brands that I like. Like Papa and Barkley has a really nice, I think it's like a 3-to-1 lotion that I like. Apothecana, which is another wellness brand, they have a really nice face oil, which I haven't used it in a while, but there is a good like year that I was using it and I would get so many compliments on my skin. And I 100% give it to that because it was the one thing that I was using all the time. It was super light, had lots of really like organic, natural ingredients, which I like. I don't like too many like fake ingredients in like my skin products. So yeah, I would say that. And then the occasional like bath bomb or like bath salt, because I love taking baths. So I like, kind of adding those in every once in a while for just a little bit more of a calming effect.
Totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, more so just recreational smoking and all of
that.
Yeah.
I mean, I could tie it in with medicinal because I honestly don't consume as much as I used to, where, I would be like rolling up a couple joints a day. Now it's like, I'll roll a joint in the morning, smoke half in the morning and then half at night. Yeah. But it really kind of like, keeps me calm. I do have high anxiety. So, when I can find the right mixture of cannabis, like to kind of calm me down, I'll use it that way medicinally, just so that I'm not freaking out.
Totally. Yeah. And as I was reading kind of about some of your history, you worked with a lot of medical patients back in the day when you started out bud
Yeah.
tending. It was that La Brea Collective, right? Was one of your
Mm-hmm.
first shops. How was working there? Like I work in the medical cannabis industry, and so I know how life-changing it can be working with those people. So how was your time there? How did that like shift you into being the professional in the cannabis industry that you are now?
That's a really good question. I want to shout out La Brea Collective because they had a great and still do have a great compassion program that kind of allowed me to enter into that realm of cannabis. So like seeing people who really, really needed it. And I was young when I first started in cannabis, and for me it was kind of just like a cool job. It was back in the day where you can, smoke at work. So that was kind of my mind. We were getting paid cash every day. So like I was like, this is cool. I get cash every day. I can smoke. But then I was seeing and helping these medical patients and like literally seeing the impact of cannabis, like these people that were coming in, upset or not feeling too good, but like super stoked to be there and super stoked to get their medicine. And just to kind of see that, like I was like, wow, not only is this like a cool, fun industry, but like we're actually helping people, like, and I see it with my own eyes, people that are coming in, that need their medicine and, get it. And they're so happy. So it really kind of, I've always been like a compassionate person. So it really kind of showed me that this industry can be that we can, and we do help people every day. And obviously, that's something I want to be a part of. Like if I can be in any kind of industry, if I'm helping someone, that's like, kudos, extra points. So
Yeah. Is there because I know out here in Washington there's a certification through the Department of Health for your medical certification. Is there one down in California as well?
you can get a med card through the state.
Oh.
Um, and that kind of like ups your limit for how much you can purchase.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, as like a consultant, as like a bud tender. Out
Well,
here, you can have out here in Washington, you can be a bud tender, but then you can be a medically certified bud tender because like our dispensaries are
wow.
closed down and it's all combined into one. Do they have that out in California, or is it different? Is it
Not
all?
that I know
Because
of,
they
but
still have like medical dispensaries and stuff.
yeah, they do pretty much. They're all recreational though.
Right.
They'll have like a medical side, but the most popular ones are all going to be recreational. But
Okay.
that's a dope. That's a dope like thing to have because what I notice is with legalization, like there's a lot of people who come into dispensaries that don't really know what they're looking for or don't
Right.
really know. It's hard for them to like articulate like even their needs.
Yeah.
So, to have a program like that, to have, certified people that you can go to and this person like knows, what can help me. I think that's
Yeah.
so California definitely needs to step up on that.
Yeah, I was going to ask if they had that, whether you would maintain your certification in the industry and whatnot, because it's something that I've maintained for a couple of years now, and I don't see me changing that status anytime soon because I care so much and I'm
Yeah.
so passionate about it. So interesting to hear, though, because yeah, California definitely would benefit from something like that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so I know one of the other places that you were working at. Sorry, excuse me. I don't know why I have such a dry throat right now. Probably from all the weed. I know you also worked at Sherbinsky's and helped open Sherbinsky's in a couple of locations. Is that right?
Yeah, Stravinsky's has one location on Fairfax, but they are partnered with MJ, which is a delivery service that has their flagship store, retail store in La Mesa. That I also assisted with opening that store.
Yeah, and so as I was reading about it, I was reading about how successful it became and whatnot, and then knowing that you just started your new brand, Emerald Way Cannabis. I was wondering how the opening up Sherbinsky's and helping it become as successful, how that kind of played a part, or even if it played a part in you going down this path to develop and open up Emerald Way Cannabis, your agency.
Yeah, it played a huge part. I learned a lot in that experience of opening up Sherbinski's, it kind of, when I was originally hired, I was hired as a bud tender. So I was going in thinking I was going to be working as a bud tender. I was just working as a bud tender at a shop previously. So I thought, I would be going in helping customers. But the store wasn't open yet. And my first day I went into the corporate office and I was like, this is interesting. But it turned out that, we were actually developing the store. It hadn't been open yet. It hadn't been staffed yet. We hadn't gotten inventory yet. It was still under construction. So there was a lot to do. So I was kind of thrown into that, not knowing what it was, but super stoked about it because I learned so, so much. And one thing that I did learn is in California, there's a lot of, anytime you're working with the state for anything, it's going to take a long time, whether you're at the post office or getting a driver's license, anything that has to do with the state or federal, just takes a long time. So it's not different with cannabis. Shop owners will have a location, will have everything and be waiting for licensing and waiting for the state to be like, okay, or the city to be like, okay, yeah, you can open your doors. So sometimes, people have been paying rent on a building for months, years even before they get that green light. And once they get that green light, they want to just open and start making money, obviously, because they've been, not making money for a long time. So it can get kind of grand openings and opening stores can get kind of tricky, buying in inventory because you think you're going to be able to open and then you can't open. So now you have all this inventory that's expiring soon, or getting approval to open and you hire staff. But then when you open, you're super, super busy and you need more staff and then you're trying to hire. And there's just a lot that goes into it. All the compliance of making sure your inventory is good. A lot that goes into it. And I've seen that in California, at least, there's a lot of owners that, didn't come from working in a dispensary, so they don't really know. So, at least for me, coming from working at shops, I knew the basics. I'm like, okay, well, we at least need to have a staff. We at least need to have inventory. Everything needs to be labeled. It needs to be displayed. There needs to be pricing. Right. And so I was really able to use that knowledge to help, build and open Sherbinski's. And going through it, we had our struggles, we had difficulties, and I was really like, the people that are here on the ground, those are kind of the people that aren't part of, the main decision making. And I think they should be because, we understand, the day to day. We understand that, products should be placed in a certain place, or the checkout should be in a certain place, or so. In my mind, I was like, how can I, further help retailers open and be prepared and have all the tools, because, a lot of them don't really have the tools. I got the opportunity to open another location, another retail store, Urban Arbor. And that kind of was like my test. I was like, okay, let's see if we could do this with all the resources that we have, all the experience that I've had opening up stores. And we killed that one. We opened that store on time. We had inventory. We had a good staff. We were a little short staffed and we needed to do some hiring, but it went really well. And so after that, I was like, okay, I do have something to offer. I do have knowledge that can make these kind of things be a little bit more smooth, because one thing that we were excited with Urban Arbor is we set a date and we opened on that date, and that literally never happens.
That's great.
Yeah, so we were proud of ourselves for that. Just like, wow, we set a date, we opened on this date, we did it. It was stressful, but we did it, and it's possible. So I kind of formed Emerald Way Cannabis with my partner, who we actually opened Urban Arbor together. He was my ops manager, because we did it, and we gained a lot of information, we gained a lot of knowledge, and just want to share it with everyone. I want anyone who's opening up a dispensary to be able to, start at a good place and, have a good staff, have a good flow of inventory, all of that. And it's definitely possible. So that's kind of why, we started the agency, so that we could provide that for retailers.
Yeah, make that base foundation for them to build off of.
Exactly. Yeah.
That is so incredible. And one of the things that you said was the people on the front lines, the people in the store, the bud tenders, the ones who are actually selling. Those are the people that do genuinely know, what it's going to take. They're the ones hearing what the customers are looking for, what they want. They're just watching them move throughout the store. We have an open browse floor plan throughout our store up here. And so, I know how they like to walk around the store and where things should be in place. And so hearing you say that, I mean, just yes, please, more of that in this industry, because I don't want it to turn into another corporate America industry where, the big people make all the decisions and then the little people just don't have any say, even though they're the ones holding everything together.
Exactly.
so,
Exactly.
so to
Yeah.
hear that is a fantastic philosophy to have going into that position, to where you're helping people build these different stores or brands or whatever organization it may be, because more of that in this industry is going to make it that like beautiful future that we all thought of when we dreamed of cannabis even being legal in the first place.
Yeah.
Just the compassion together for everything, and the common bond over something so healing like cannabis is. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um I love to hear that. That's incredible. And so you're in California right now. Do you plan on expanding out into the rest of the country now that, I mean, 3/4 of our country is legal in some way, whether medicinal or recreational? So yeah, do
Yeah.
you see yourself expanding?
Yeah, 100%. I'm super excited about the new markets that are coming in. Lots and lots of potential. I think, California's cannabis industry is not perfect by any means, but I feel like, it has a lot of really good, solid elements
Yeah.
that definitely can help other states, be even better than this state. So definitely any opportunity to expand. We're looking at New York since they're about to pop on the map soon. And Oklahoma is another big state, but just spreading it all over. Whoever needs the help, like cannabis, I feel like sees no borders, sees no states. It's people use it all over. So
Yes.
wherever people need the help, we're gonna go.
Yeah, love to hear that, and can't wait to watch it all expand. I'm excited for the expansion of everything, more so in like a decriminalized sense and
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm very much so looking forward to that. So speaking about social equity in cannabis,
Mm-hmm.
there's no hiding, you are a Black woman in cannabis, and a successful one at that. How has your experience been over the years? Has it been a big uphill battle, or have you actually seen, some help along the way?
Um, I would say it's a little bit of both. I've definitely
Mhm.
seen a lot of help. I've definitely had a lot of great like mentors, help me through. But I've had my fair share of difficulties as well. Being a woman of color, um, and at sometimes being a knowledgeable woman. Sometimes in the more recent days, I'll go into meetings or to interviews or whatever, and share all my knowledge because I'm passionate, I'm compassionate about things and like to talk about things. I get a little bit of like pushback from corporate side of situations, and I don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. I'm just the kind of person where I'm like, I want to tell you all the things I know so that if it's bad, it doesn't happen, and if it's good, it happens again. Like I just want to tell you everything, so like I don't need to be the boss and bossing people around, but I love to like tell people my experience. I've experienced a lot, I've seen a lot, I've been through a lot, and I think cannabis as a community, one thing that I feel like is changing is people aren't really sharing as much as they used to back in the day. People are kind of keeping their secrets to themselves, keeping their successes to themselves, which in my mind, I'm like, I mean, if we all do better, everyone gets to grow, like,
Yeah.
so I just want to, share things with people. And sometimes people get a little uncomfortable and kind of like, like, don't let me speak, or, will speak
Yeah.
over me. But for the most part, I think really it's my passion that makes it okay, because I'm like, if this person isn't feeling it, I'll just find someone else. And I always do. And
Yeah.
I try my hardest to I'll always listen to people, give opportunities to people, especially people of color, women, people that were disenfranchised, because, I understand. I could only imagine how hard it would be to be someone that, was disenfranchised or was treated unfairly, because of cannabis or anything. But yet they're seeing all these people be super successful, in the same area that they, got a ticket, maybe went to jail, maybe, all of this stuff. So trying to balance that out, a lot, because it can be difficult. It can be difficult.
Yeah. And I've seen you post or talk about programs like the Last Prisoner Project, which is a great one. Are there some other programs or some other organizations that you know of or are supportive of that help with aspects like that?
Yeah. There is, This Is Our Dream is, a collective, I would say, that helps a lot with social equity. They provide lots of seminars, lots of support, for people in the social equity space. Social Equity LA, on Instagram, they are another, I would say, collective that are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Last Prisoners Project, I love. They really, really push forward the fact that there are still people in jail for cannabis. Like, there's still people that are, suffering for doing the stuff that a lot of these people are doing, like I said, and making a lot of money.
Right.
40 Tons brand, also, they're super, super cool. Yeah, there's actually a lot of programs and people out here that are really, really, really trying. So I love that as well. I love
Awesome. We love to hear that too.
it.
I'm such a big supporter. Anybody out here in my community, I'm always shouting it from the rooftops and supporting those people, because it is, as a, I'm a white woman, so I haven't had a lot of the other struggles, but I deal with misogyny every single day when I go
Yeah.
to work, and it is so frustrating. So I can only imagine what it would be like if I was a woman of color or something like that. So any chance that I get to support them, I am absolutely supporting anybody and everybody who has ever been disenfranchised, because it sucks. It
Yeah.
absolutely sucks when, like you're saying, you're a very intelligent and very straightforward and passionate person, and you just get beat down or not heard or ignored because of
Mhm.
that, because they're nervous or scared, because they've never had anybody else step on their toes, because they've always had this position of power.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
so yeah, I'm very, very passionate about all of those causes, about all of that, and so I'd love to hear it. But now flipping the whole conversation away from cannabis, you told me you do music, and
I
that is my
do.
other big passion is music. So let's talk a little bit about that before we wrap it up today, because I would love to hear some of that about it, because this is the one aspect that I didn't do any research on, and I just wanted it to kind of be a surprise. So talk to me a little bit about it. How did you get into music? What kind of music you making? What's up?
Yeah. I mean, music's always been a part of my life. I honestly, I moved to LA to dance. So dance
Okay.
music, it's been a thing since I was 2. That's when I started dancing. Probably started getting into musical theater and stuff at like 4 or 5. And
Okay.
it's always just been a big part of my life. Moving to LA, I kind of got to dive a little bit deeper in there,
Yeah.
especially working with cannabis. Working in the shops, I would see people, artists come in all the time, producers come in all the time, and I would just be curious about it, and would have opportunities to go to people's sessions, or just to like talk to people that created music. And since it was always something that I wanted to do, I was just like very, very curious. And so, one day I just got the opportunity. I was sat down in a computer. I believe it was like Ableton or one of the DAWs, and the homie was just like, make a beat, and I was like, Okay, so I had a little bit of music background. I could read music, play the piano a little bit. So
Yeah.
I kind of just fell into that creative vibe of creating music, and it's been probably like 6 7 years now, and my style's very very vibey. I feel like as like a stoner, as like, it's a bunch of different styles mixed up. I grew up listening to a lot of classical music because my ballet background. I grew up listening to a lot of pop music, Euro pop music. My family is European, so just lots and lots. And then as I got older, the more R&B, hip hop kind of got in there. So my vibe's very much a mix of all of that. And it's fun. I love creating music. I love performing. So,
Yeah.
and getting to, mix cannabis in that is dope. I have an event tonight called All My Friends Are Dope at El Cid out here in LA. And, it's just an opportunity to mix music and cannabis, which I feel like honestly go hand in hand. And yeah, it's just cool. A bunch of my friends are going to be performing. We have some cool
Awesome.
cannabis brands there to support. So that's, if I could do anything for the rest of my life, it would be music and cannabis, and finding a way to like blend them, with the company that I started. I get the opportunity to create things like that. So being able to blend them together is super cool and super exciting.
Man, that is ultimately what my dream is as well. I don't produce, so I don't make music at all or anything like that, but blending the two cultures together is something that I strive for in my day-to-day life. So I'm constantly
Yeah.
bouncing between them, smoking the weed and reviewing it while I'm reviewing music and listening to that and whatnot. So
Yeah.
if I was down there, I would be out at that event because that sounds dope.
Yeah.
Dope as all get out.
Mhm.
So yeah, that is so cool to hear. Because it's a great creative way to express yourself as well as decompress. I feel like from the stresses of
Mhm.
like running a company
Yeah.
and being in something more corporate like cannabis or something like that nowadays. So
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
And
amazing.
I mean, I do want to add on that is when it comes to like the corporate side of cannabis, I'm not all the way upset about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm coming from management and all of that. I love structure. I understand that structure is very important. And, prior to legalization, I wouldn't say there was no structure in cannabis, but it was a little more like fluid.
Yeah.
So I appreciate, the structure in the corporate world. However, I think it is very important to keep the roots and keep the culture and the community of cannabis, because that's where it came from, and kind of blending that with the corporate structure opposed to just like, just taking it over and, being completely corporate. Because I personally don't think that's going to work, because, cannabis consumers, like, we're cool. We go off vibes. Like, we're chilling. We're having a good time. So although it's nice to have a little bit of structure, I think, it's best to meet both in the middle and kind of like, blend them both together. So
Very
that's
well
what we're
put.
trying to do.
Yes, very well put. I would 100% agree with that sentiment. So, well, beautiful. Is there anything else that you want to add in, or any final thoughts that you want to give out? Or, I mean, if anything, just plug yourself and where people can go follow you and find you and keep up to date with what you're doing.
Yeah, you guys can follow me. You can follow my company, Instagram, or Emerald Way Cannabis, emeraldwaycannabis.com. My personal Instagram is Miss Dorothy K, MSDOROTHYK. I pretty much post all my music stuff there, some cannabis stuff every once in a while, but most of the cannabis you can catch on Emerald Way Cannabis. But yeah, thank you so much for having me. This has been dope. I'm
Yes.
such a big fan of Respect My Region. They're such a dope group of people. I love what you guys are doing. And yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with me. So this has
Yeah.
been fantastic, and I hope we get to meet sometime soon.
Yeah.
I go visit the guys down in California, so I'll have to come out and we'll have to link up and be able to meet in person and whatnot. So,
Yeah, and I definitely want to come up to Seattle because that's one thing I was going to say is I don't know anything about the legal market in Seattle because I moved before.
oh yeah,
So I'm like super, super curious. I haven't even like dabbled in it at all. I spent a little bit of time in Oregon, so I'm kind of familiar with their regulations, but
yeah.
Seattle, yeah, Washington, I don't know. So
Hey, well, if you come up here, I'll plug them real quick. I'm at Dockside Cannabis. We
nice.
got 4 locations around the city, and we're very medically centric. We
Love
come
it.
from the cannabis era, and I've been a medical cannabis consultant there now for over 3 years now. So they're a great company. And if you come out here, come see me. I'll show you around and show you what it's like because it's different. It's definitely different than California. So yeah, there's lots of good stuff out here, and of course, we have our issues too in our industry that could be changed, but for the most part, I mean, it's pretty stellar that you can walk down and find a dispensary pretty much anywhere nowadays. So
Yeah. I
um
love it. I love it. I love it.
cool. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on. And I hope we can talk soon. But other than that, you have a wonderful day. Uh,
Thanks. You
and
too.
enjoy your event tonight. It sounds super dope. So,
Yeah.
I'll be there in spirit.
I'll smoke one for you, girl. Got you.
Hey, that's right. I'll smoke one while I'm at home.
Good. Cool. Well, yeah,
Uh,
thank you so much.
of course, yeah. And thank y'all for watching and tuning into the Higher Woman podcast. I will be on next week as well for another episode with y'all. So have